Your teen walks in late. You, worried, ask, "Where were you? Who were you with? Why didn't you answer your phone?" Your teen looks at you with that blank stare and says, "Here we go again." And just like that, in less than 10 seconds, you've lost any chance of real connection. But here's what's confusing. You weren't trying to start a fight. You were just worried. You just wanted to know they were safe. So why did asking a few simple questions make them shut down completely? Well, stick with me, because what I'm about to show you will change the way you communicate with your teenager forever. This isn't because you're being controlling, and it's not because you're a bad parent. It's because nobody ever explained to you that the teenage brain has a hyperactive threat detector. And when you ask 3 questions in a row, their brain reads it as code red. It equals defensive mode. And defensive mode equals complete shutdown. This happens to loving, caring mothers who just want to know their kid is safe. Mothers who are doing everything right. But the problem isn't your intention. The problem is that you're speaking to a brain that literally processes questions differently than it did 5 years ago. Let me explain what's really going on here. I call this pattern the interrogation trap. It's when your completely legitimate questions, asked out of love and concern, turn into what feels like an interrogation to your teen without you even noticing it's happening. Here's exactly what it looks like. Imagine this scene. Your teen comes home from school. You're genuinely interested in their day. So you ask, "How was your day? Did you study for your test? Did you turn in your project? Did you talk to your teacher about your grade?" 4 questions, perfectly reasonable questions. Questions any caring parent would ask. And your teen responds with, "Yeah, just, yeah," with a stone-cold face that tells you they've completely checked out of this conversation. Do you see what just happened? For you, asking these questions feels like showing interest, like being involved in their life, like being a good parent. But for their brain, something completely different is happening. They're not hearing curiosity, they're hearing evaluation. Like they just walked into a pop quiz they didn't study for. And each additional question increases the pressure. Each question feels like you're checking to see if they pass or fail your test. And here's the part that makes this so frustrating. They can't even explain why they feel this way. Because it's not conscious, it's neurological. Let me show you the brain science behind this. And I promise I'll keep it simple. Think of your teen's brain like a traffic light. Green light equals one calm, open question. At green, their brain can handle this. They feel safe. They might actually want to answer. Yellow light equals 2 questions. Now we're in caution territory. Their guard is starting to go up. They're beginning to wonder where this conversation is headed. Red light equals 3 or more questions in a row. And at red, it's automatic shutdown mode. Their threat detector has been triggered. And once that happens, it doesn't matter how loving your tone is. It doesn't matter that you're just trying to connect. Their brain has already decided this is an interrogation, not a conversation. And here's why this happens. The prefrontal cortex, that's the part of the brain that regulates emotional responses and helps us think before we react. It's still under construction in teenagers. It doesn't fully develop until around age 25. So when you rapid-fire questions at them, even caring questions, their developing brain literally cannot process it without triggering defense mechanisms. It's not that they don't want to talk to you. It's that their brain is protecting them from what it perceives as a threat. And I know that sounds dramatic. You're thinking, I'm their mother, not a threat. But remember, we're talking about a brain that's being completely rewired. A brain that's now hyper-aware of anything that feels like it's taking away their autonomy or control. Now, let me show you what happens when you approach the same situation differently. Same scenario. Your teen comes home from school. But this time, you pause, you take a breath, and you ask just one question. Hey, how was your day? Your teen, probably a little suspicious because this feels different, says, Fine. And here's where most parents make the mistake. They immediately jump in with the follow-up questions. Just fine? What does fine mean? What did you do? Who did you hang out with? But instead, you do something powerful. You stay silent. 3, 4, maybe 5 seconds of comfortable silence. You're not staring them down. You're not tapping your foot impatiently. You're just present, open, waiting. And something interesting happens. Your teen's brain can't handle the silence. Not because it's awkward, but because humans are wired to fill empty space in conversation. It creates a natural tension that wants to be resolved. So after a few seconds, your teen says, "Actually, something kind of weird happened in class today." Not because you extracted the information, but because you created space for them to want to share. See the massive difference? In the first scenario, you asked 4 questions and got one-word answers and a closed-off teenager. In the second scenario, you asked 1 question, added strategic silence, and got your teen voluntarily opening up to you. You didn't interrogate, you didn't chase, you didn't demand, you created space, and they walked into it willingly. So let me give you the exact technique you can use starting today. I call it the mirror question technique. And here's exactly how it works. Step 1, ask 1 open-ended question. Just 1. Something like, "How was your day?" Or if they came home late, "I noticed you got home a little late. Is everything okay?" Notice these aren't yes or no questions. They're invitations to share, but they're just one invitation, not a whole list of demands. Step 2, listen to their answer. And yes, it's probably going to be vague. "It was fine." "Yeah, everything's okay." "That's normal." Don't panic. Don't take it personally. Step 3. This is the crucial part. Comfortable silence. 3 to 5 seconds. Don't fill it. Don't rush to ask another question. Don't start talking about your day. Just wait. Or if silence feels too uncomfortable at first, you can simply say, "Tell me more about that." Not as a demand, but as a gentle invitation. Step 4. Only continue asking questions if they keep talking. If they start opening up, great. Stay curious. Ask follow-up questions about what they're sharing, not about what you want to know. But if they don't open up, and that's going to happen sometimes, that's okay too. You walk away with your dignity intact. You've shown them you're available without being desperate for information. You've shown them that talking to you is an invitation, not an obligation. And here's what happens over time. When your teen realizes that conversations with you don't turn into interrogations, that you're not going to ambush them with 20 questions every time they walk through the door, they start to let their guard down. They start to actually want to talk to you because you've proven you're safe. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, but if I don't ask questions, how am I supposed to know what's going on in their life? How do I know if they're okay, if they're safe, if they're making good choices? And I hear you. That fear is real. That desire to protect them is real. But here's the truth you need to understand. Asking more questions doesn't actually give you more information. Not when those questions trigger shutdown mode. Think about it. Would you rather ask 5 questions and get 5 one-word answers and a teenager who now avoids you? Or would you rather ask 1 thoughtful question, create space, and get a real conversation where your teen actually tells you what's going on? It's not about asking fewer questions because you don't care. It's about asking questions in a way that makes your teen want to answer, in a way that respects the fact that they're not a child anymore who has to report every detail to you. They're becoming a young adult, and young adults don't respond well to interrogation, but they do respond to genuine curiosity and respect. When you ask 1 question and then give them space, you're treating them like the young adult they're becoming, not the child they used to be. And that respect, that shift in how you see them, that's what makes them want to talk to you. Because you're not trying to extract information anymore, you're offering connection. And connection is what every teenager wants, even when they act like they don't. Let me give you one more really practical example you can use this week. Your teen comes home, backpack hits the floor. They head straight to their room without saying a word. Here's the old pattern. Hey, don't you walk past me like I'm invisible. How was school? Did you eat lunch? Do you have homework? When are you going to clean your room? And why is your attitude so bad lately? Result: door slams. You feel disrespected. They feel attacked. Nobody wins. Here's the new pattern. You look up from what you're doing. You make eye contact. You smile slightly, not a big fake smile, just a small acknowledgement that you see them. And you say, hey. That's it. Just hey. Then you pause. You give them space to respond or not respond. If they stop and make eye contact back, you can ask, rough day? If they keep walking toward their room, you let them go. You don't chase, you don't demand. You give them 20 minutes to decompress. Then you try again. You go to their door, knock gently, and say, I'm making a snack. Want one? Do you feel the difference in energy here? In the old pattern, you're demanding attention, demanding information, demanding respect, and demands trigger resistance. In the new pattern, you're offering connection. You're showing you're available, but you're not desperate, you're not needy, you're just there, safe, consistent, patient. And over time, that patience pays off, because your teen starts to trust that talking to you won't turn into a trap. Here's the uncomfortable truth that I need you to hear. You cannot force your teenager to open up to you. You just can't. The harder you push, the more they pull away. That's not me being mean. That's just how teenage psychology works. But here's what you can do. You can create the space where they want to open up. You can prove to them, through your actions and your patience, that you're safe to talk to. That conversations with you don't turn into lectures or interrogations or disappointment. And that starts with respecting that their brain works differently now than it did when they were 10. Different doesn't mean defiant. Different doesn't mean they don't love you or respect you. Different just means developing. Their brain is going through the biggest reconstruction project since they were toddlers. And your job as their parent isn't to interrogate that development. It's to guide it with patience, with respect, and yes, with strategic silence. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Sometimes the space you create with your silence is exactly what your teen needs to find their voice. So here's what I want you to try this week, just this week. Pick one interaction with your teen, just one. And instead of asking multiple questions, ask one. Then wait, create space, and see what happens. You might be surprised. You might find that when you stop trying so hard to get information, your teen starts giving it freely. If this video resonated with you, if you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is exactly what I do, then you need to watch the next video. It's called The Explanation Trap, and it's about why giving your teen more reasons and more explanations actually triggers more rebellion, not less. It's one of the biggest mistakes I see loving parents make, and I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. I'll see you there.